Hello there. Thank you for choosing Muertes International Airlines, your one-stop destination for traveling to the Cinco Muertes, or the 5 deaths for the Spanish impaired. I see you've booked a personal flight to the Isle of Death, also known as Isla Muerta in English. You don't seem too enthused by the name. Never mind. You must be a fan of the beach by choosing to fly here. Trust me, this is the most beautiful coastline you'll ever see in your life. Before we depart to the island, I'd like to give you a brief rundown and history lesson on it. Situated 200 miles west off Costa Rica, Isla Muerta sits snugly between Isla Matancera to the north and Isla Sorna to the southwest. Isla Muerta was discovered alongside its brethren in 1526. For hundreds of years, this island remained mostly untouched by humans, until 1983, until InGen. Early in the conception of Jurassic Park, the geneticists ran into numerous anomalies regarding the health of the dinosaurs, so a few facilities on the mountainous western side of the island were built, solely dedicated to research and cures to resolve the dinosaurs' afflictions. This island was restricted to the public until Mr. Hammond dreamt of opening yet another Jurassic Park, and here we are. I think I've done enough talking. Make your way out to the helipad where your journey will shortly begin. Welcome to Jurassic Park, here on Isla Muerta. We hope you enjoyed your flight with Muertes International. Feeling a little drained? No problem. Take a moment to adjust to the warm and dense beach. Enjoy a flavorful, fruity beverage before heading into the Welcome Center to verify your tickets. You'll also receive a visitor's pass here. If you happen to lose your visitor's pass, there's no need to panic. Simply consult our knowledgeable staff to receive a new one. Once departing from the Welcome Center, you'll find numerous signs posted about the park to help you navigate around. Your first priority should be getting settled into your Safari Lodge. The Safari Lodge offers a cozy and secluded night's rest, giving you a feeling of sleeping in a prehistoric jungle. Each lodge has 2 rooms and a personal cafe, serving complimentary breakfast and refreshments daily. The lodge complex is surrounded by beautiful white sand and crystal clear water, ensuring a day lounging on the shore to be a relaxing one. I'll let you know where you'll be sleeping tonight. Let's take a brief detour behind the visitor center to visit Rothtown. This town serves as the backbone for all operations on Isla Muerta. Every member of staff on the island resides here at night. This is also where the island's geothermal power plant is located. Here, the boiling energies beneath the island are harnessed into raw power to keep the lights on around here. Moving to the back of the town, you'll find the InGen Administrative Building. It is here that the personnel check into the town and maintain constant communication with the worker village on Isla Nublar and InGen headquarters in Palo Alto, California. Next to the InGen administration are the island's reserve pens. These are here to house any escaped animals. However, an event such as that is highly unlikely. We even have a special pen for housing the island's livestock to feed our ever-hungry carnivores. Next to the reserve paddock lies an entrance to the park's service roads, where our rangers can move freely in and out of the numerous animal enclosures without disturbing the animals or your safari experience. Speaking of your safari experience, let's move on to the final stop where the safari adventure really begins. This is our multi-level visitor center, the central hub of guest activity here on Isla Muerta. Within the 3 central rotundas, everything you'll need can be found. Visit the Mr. DNA ride, where you can witness the actual labs scientists resurrect the animals of Isla Muerta. You'll also visit the control room, where every facet of the park is monitored and managed by the staff. We also provide fine dining here at Les Legantes. This 5-star restaurant is a third of its kind, with one at Isla Nublar in Mananceros. Be sure to reserve a table from your safari lodge before visiting. The visitor center is also where guests can schedule their tour of the island. We ensure both night and day tours to ensure you get to see all of the animals. This island also features a secondary tour in the form of our river adventure to the east. Once you're ready to depart on the tour, head over to the loading bay and wait for your caravan to arrive. These will be your transports for the afternoon. Jurassic Park offers guests a safari experience like no other with our fleet of electric, self-guided Ford Explorers, allowing a safe, comfortable, and exciting ride. Climb aboard and get situated as the tour will begin momentarily.
Now hold on just a second there, friends. I'm Mr. DNA. You may have heard of me. Now, we have some safety procedures to go over, because we here at Jurassic Park like to keep blood-sucking lawyers away. Firstly, keep your hands to yourself and respect everyone's personal space. Secondly, please stay seated during the duration of the tour. Remember, this is a moving vehicle and may encounter rough terrain. Exiting the vehicle is prohibited. However, the tour may come to a few rest stops during your journey. You'll be notified when exiting the vehicle is allowed. When outside the vehicle in the park, please do not touch any fences, as some of them carry 10,000 volts. We also kindly ask you to refrain from bringing any messy or sticky food or drinks into the vehicles, and do not leave any trash behind. Lastly, Jurassic Park is not responsible for loss of any personal items within these vehicles, so please make sure to check behind the seats and in the glove compartment in case you store anything in there. Lastly, and the most important rule, is to have fun and to enjoy the ride.
Thanks, Mr. DNA. And now a quick message from the CEO of InGen before you depart for the afternoon.
Welcome one and all to Jurassic Park. Unique world of adventure unlike anything you've ever experienced before. I should explain. I'm John Hammond, the owner and creator of this magnificent enterprise. By this time, I'm sure you're quite aware that Jurassic Park refers to that time in history, the Jurassic period, when dinosaurs roamed the world. Here at Jurassic Park, we've created the world's largest man-made living laboratory devoted solely to the study of dinosaurs. At the park laboratories, scientists and geneticists are at work on the process of cloning the selected dinosaurs that will live in our park. A miraculous feat of bioengineering. At central control, our nerve center for the entire site, every creature is monitored on a continual basis. Nothing is left to chance. And in the field, our park rangers are constantly watching the area, communicating directly with central control at all times, and patrolling the site to ensure guest comfort and safety. And at the boat launching area, that's where you're headed, each and every boat is in continual radio contact with the home base and central control as well. So now prepare yourselves for the adventure of a lifetime as you journey into the world of the dinosaurs on our Jurassic Park adventure. I guarantee you, nothing is prepared you for the adventure ahead. So, from all of us, to all of you, well, thanks for coming, and have a wonderful day at Jurassic Park!
How do you do, adventurers? The name's Rocco, and I'll be your safari guide this afternoon. While I won't be there with you, my voice will be here to guide you through the numerous paddocks of the park, and the wonderful animals we got to go with them. I think we spent enough time getting to know each other, so we're going to get these wheels rolling. The appropriate information will be automatically selected for you on the screen. Please just sit back, relax, and enjoy the tour. Also, please be sure to turn off the flash on your cameras, and no shouting when outside the vehicles in the park. You are now entering the lost world of the past, a world in which amazing creatures big and small rule the earth, a world in which you are privileged to see today. Welcome to Jurassic Park. We will be approaching our first enclosure through this canyon. If you look to the right, you'll see a herd of the first dinosaurs on the tour. They're called Proceratosaurus. Proceratosaurus was a mystery for much of its history, with only the fossil find of this dinosaur being a single fragmented skull. This skull was unearthed near the English town of Minchinhampton in 1910 and was thought to be yet another Megalosaurus fossil. However, in 1926, further studies of the skull found it was a completely different genus. Initially, after the study, it was concluded that Proceratosaurus was a relative of the North American Ceratosaurus due to the assumed presence of a nasal horn. But later studies in the 1980s disproved this. After many years and numerous debates, in 2010, a major reevaluation of Proceratosaurus and its relations to other theropods was published, placing it in the Tyrannosaur lineage. For much of its history, Proceratosaurus was reconstructed with a horn, but Guanlong revealed this was actually an elaborate crest formed from the premaxilla nasal bones. This crest was most likely used for display purposes. The breakthrough study of Proceratosaurus and Guanlong led to the formation of the Proceratosauridae family. Basal relatives of Tyrannosaurus that will eventually dominate the late Cretaceous, making Proceratosaurus the oldest tyrannosaur that ever lived. Moving along, we'll be heading toward the Jurassic Chinese Plains. Around us, you'll see a herd of Chunkingosaurus and Gigantspinosaurus. Chunkingosaurus is a genus of huayngosaurid dinosaur that originated from late Jurassic Asia. Chunkingosaurus is one of the many stegosaurs found at the Dun Shampoo Formation and was slightly more primitive than most stegosaurs of the late Jurassic, being a direct descendant of the older huayngosauris, which was found in the same location at an older stage of the Jurassic. The skull, for example, is much deeper and the teeth less well developed. However, these traits have given rise to the theory that Chunkingosaurus is in fact a juvenile or adolescent Toyjongosaurus. However, This has not been yet proven. Chunkingosaurus, the later Kentrosaurus, have 8 tail spikes. Unlike most stegosaurs, which have 4, Chunkingosaurus lived alongside the giant sauropods like Mamenchisaurus and Omesaurus, the large predator Yangchuanosaurus, as well as other stegosaurs such as Toyjangosaurus, Gigantospinosaurus, and Chialingosaurus. Moving on to the Gigantospinosaurus, one might assume with a name like that, it's a combination of the South American Giganotosaurus and the North African Spinosaurus. However, Gigantospinosaurus is a genus of stegosaurian dinosaur that originated from late Jurassic Asia, with fossils found in the Zilui-Jiang Formation in China. Although it looks fairly similar to Kentrosaurus, it has characteristically huge shoulder spikes. These spikes would have been a formidable form of defense or used as a display feature for mates. The abundance of primitive stegosaurs such as Gigantospinosaurus and Huangosaurus, mixed with more advanced genera such as Chunkingosaurus and Toyjangosaurus in the Daishanpu Formation of China, suggests that Stegosauria evolved in Asia before migrating to Africa, Europe, and North America. Speaking of North America, we're heading there to the ancient redwood swamps to greet the stylish Styracosaurus and the contemporary Chasmosaurus. Chasmosaurus is a genus of ceratopsid dinosaur that originated from late Cretaceous North America. Chasmosaurus was first discovered in 1898 by Lawrence Lambie in California, in USA, with a more comprehensive specimen being discovered in 1913 by Charles Sternberg in Alberta, Canada. Members of the Chasmosaurinae are categorized by their long frills and small horns. The massive frills were most likely not used for combat, as they were too fragile and contained large openings in their skeletal structure, likely to reduce their weight. One theory suggests that they may have been able to flush blood into their frills to display vivid colors to attract mates or scare off rivals and predators. Chasmosaurus lived alongside other dinosaurs, such as the Hadrosaurus, other ceratopsians, ornithomimids, and of course Tyrannosaurids. Chasmosaurus ate cycads, ferns, and palms, but there were probably many more considering that it lived in a wooded region. Living alongside the Chasmosaurus are the Styracosaurus. Styracosaurus, or spiked lizard, is a genus from ceratopsid dinosaur that originated from the late Cretaceous North America. Styracosaurus was discovered in Alberta, Canada in 1913 by Lawrence Lamb. Today, Styracosaurus fossils are found in the rich Dinosaur Park Formation in Alberta. They were once many species of Styracosaurus found throughout eastern North America from Montana to Canada, but many have now been assigned to new genera such as Rubeosaurus and Eneosaurus. Along with Sinoceratops, they are part of the Centrosauran branch of Ceratopsids, which are categorized by their nose horn being larger than their brown horns. Styracosaurus also had common features to those found in all ceratopsians: a beaked mouth with powerful molars for grinding down plant matter and cheek pouches to store food for chewing. It is currently unclear whether their frills are merely features of display or if they served as a form of protection against predators. Though the latter is generally considered more likely because the smaller stature of the Styracosaurus would have made it vulnerable to larger predators, like many ceratopsians of its time, it lived along the western interior seaway. Descending from the mountain, it's about time we see more colorful carnivores, this time in the middle of the Jurassic period. Moving past this service road, and we've arrived to the second carnivore paddock. If you look to the right, you'll be peering into the Metriacanthosaurus mountain. The vehicles will be making a 5-minute stop here. Step outside, take some photos, or use the washroom facilities. Metriacanthosaurus is a genus of theropod dinosaurs that originated from late Jurassic Europe. A medium-sized predatory dinosaur and named for its tall vertebrae, Metriacanthosaurus was one of the unfortunate victims of the Megalosaurus wastebasket taxon. During the early days of paleontology, scientists studying dinosaurs had tended to sweep many fossils under a single genus without much thorough study. Many large carnivores were simply named new species of Megalosaurus. Even Dilophosaurus was once considered a species of Megalosaurus until the 1940s. Metriacanthosaurus was officially renamed in 1964 and was given a new family, the Metriacanthosauridae, an offshoot of the Allosaurus, which also includes species such as the young Tyrannosaurus from China. Metriacanthosaurus is a mysterious animal, as its only known fossils are that of its spine and pelvis. Interestingly, it has a raised spine, suggesting it may have had a hump or ridge running down its back. Although it was a medium-sized predator, Metriacanthosaurus was on top of the predators of the Oxford clay, along with species such as Streptospondylus. Alright everyone, back into the vehicles. The tour will be resuming shortly. We are approaching our third herbivore enclosure, this time taking us to the early Cretaceous of Africa. Dotted about in this scenic oasis is the exuberant Tyrannosaurus and the dwarf sauropod, Nigersaurus. Tyrannosaurus is a genus of ornithopod dinosaur that originated from early Cretaceous Africa. A basal hadrosaur, Tyrannosaurus also possesses a hump-like cell on its back, similar to that of the Acrocanthosaurus. Tyrannosaurus was originally believed to have been an iguanodontid, but recent studies suggest that it may be a basal hadrosaur. The most famous feature of Tyrannosaurus is the tall neural spines. At first, these spines were thought to support a display cell like that of the Spinosaurus, but recent analysis suggests they are too thick to support a cell and resemble vertebrae of bison and camels. Tyrannosaurus fossils are found in the Uralhaz Formation in Niger, where the environment consisted of fluvial sandstones and sand dunes. The main predators to Tyrannosaurus were the theropods, cryptops, Suchomimus, and Eocarcharia, as well as a large crocodiliomorph named Sarcosuchus in the water. Its roommate, Nigersaurus, is a genus of sauropod dinosaur that originated from early Cretaceous Africa. When discovered in 1999, Nigersaurus was a startling find. The most notable feature of it was that it had broad jaws with a flattened edge across its front. Inside these jaws were hundreds of small teeth arranged at the front. This would have allowed Nigersaurus to crop low-growing vegetation and mash it down into with ease, and has earned it the nickname the Mesozoic lawnmower. A further adaptation was the structure of the inner ear, indicating that the head was usually carried close to the ground. These features may have been an adaptation to the soft plants that grew during the early Cretaceous. As the continents continued to break apart and the climate became wetter compared to the dry conditions of the late Jurassic, Nigersaurus is a member of the Rabachisauridae family, an evolutionary offshoot of the Diplodocimorpha. These sauropods generally had short necks and tails and teeth more akin to hadrosaurs, and ceratopsians rather than sauropods. Nigersaurus lived in early Cretaceous Niger in an inland floodplains alongside the ornithopod or rhinoceros, the Spinosaurus suchobimus, and the massive Crocodilian Sarcosuchus. These two resilient herbivores make wonderful and vivid additions here at Jurassic Park. This last carnivore head is an even great one. We've arrived to our third and final carnivore enclosure. If you look off to your right, you'll be peering into Cantho Cliff. The vehicle will also be making a 5-minute stop here to admire the animals. Acrocanthosaurus is a genus of Carcharodontosaurid dinosaur that originated from early Cretaceous North America. One of the apex predators of the early Cretaceous period, Acrocanthosaurus is a large carnivorous dinosaur, one of the largest ever discovered in Oklahoma by American paleontologists J. Willis Stovall and Juan Langston Jr. in the year 1950. When it was first discovered, Acrocanthosaurus was originally thought to be closely related to the Jurassic predator Allosaurus. However, in the 1980s, given the spine on its back, it was then thought to be a species of Spinosaurid. Eventually, in the year 2013, clandestine analysis have found it to be a Carcharodontosaurid, therefore related to Carcharodontosaurus of Africa and Giganotosaurus of South America. Like some carnivores, such as Allosaurus and Carcharodontosaurus, the skull of Acrocanthosaurus was long, low, and narrow. Its skull alone was nearly 1.3 meters, which was about 4.3 feet in length. The dinosaur itself measured 11.5 meters, which is about 38 feet in length from snout to tail tip, and weighed an estimated 6.2 metric tons. This makes Acrocanthosaurus one of the largest predatory dinosaurs ever discovered. Armed with curved, serrated teeth, Acrocanthosaurus' teeth were wider than those of Carcharodontosaurus and did not have the wrinkled texture that characterized the Carcharodontosaurus. Perhaps the most notable feature of Acrocanthosaurus, hence its name, was its row of tall neurospines. Located on the vertebrae of the neck, back, and hips and upper tail, which could be more than 2.5 times the height of the vertebrae from which they extended, and supported a ridge of muscle over the animal's overall upper body. While the exact function of the spines remain unknown, they may have been involved in communication, fat storage, muscle or temperature control, as well as potentially to attract mates. Acrocanthosaurus lived in the Twin Mountains and Antlers formations, which were large floodplains that drained into a shallow inland sea. This animal is certainly a guest favorite, and it's not hard to figure out why. Okay people, time to head back inside the vehicles. The tour is about to end shortly. I hate to say this, everyone, but this is the end of our safari tour. We hope you enjoyed this relaxing cruise through time in your river adventure. Plan your next trip soon to Jurassic Park.
See, I guaranteed that you would enjoy the tour, and I see that you did. However, this isn't the only tour you'll be taking part in today. We'll be heading to the eastern shore of the island. Isla Muerta features an automated shuttle service for guests on the island. Come aboard and get comfortable. Welcome to the eastern side of Isla Muerta, an exclusive, luxurious resort in the home of the Jurassic River Adventure. This section includes its own heliport, hotel, and amenities. Whilst there isn't a worker village present here, there is a ranger outpost. The majority of the beach, however, is dominated by a long winding river, accompanied by a plethora of dinosaurs. So why don't we take a cruise through a Jurassic jungle river? The rules and expectations for guests traveling on this attraction still apply from the Safari Adventure Tour. Alright, I won't be holding you up any further. Enjoy the tour.
Hello there, and welcome to the Jurassic Jungle River Adventure. On this exclusive tour, we'll be cruising alongside a long winding river with the animals that thrive from it. The purpose of this attraction is to provide a serene and educational environment for our guests. As such, we will not be encountering any carnivorous animals on our journey, but only placid herbivores. Just beyond these gates, infinite wonder and majesty awaits. Ah yes, our first stop takes us to the late Cretaceous of China, where we can view the stunning Sinoceratops and the timid Centaurosaurus. Sinoceratops was first discovered in China by Zhu Jing et al. In 2010 and belongs to the Centrosaurinae branch of ceratopsids, which contain other species such as Styracosaurus. And it was one of the largest members of its group. Its discovery is significant as it is one of the only known ceratopsids that lived outside of North America. Centaurosaurus was first discovered in the 1950s in the Shandong province of eastern China. The first fossils found were parts of the skull and body from 2 specimens, as well as a multitude of isolated pieces of others, evidence that the species lived in herds. The most striking feature of the skull was a long piece of bone sticking upwards like a unicorn or a narwhal horn. At first, this was dismissed as a piece of bone that had been broken, but with further studies, it was revealed that Centaurosaurus was related to the Lambeosaurian branch of Hadrosaurs, which include Corythosaurus and the Parasaurolophus, and were characterized by these strange crests. Moving further down the river, we'll be moving into a more tropical exhibit, featuring the mesmerizing Muttaburrasaurus and the nice Nasutoceratops. Named after the dig site of Muttaburra in Queensland, Australia, Muttaburrasaurus was originally believed to have been an iguanodontid, similar to Iguanodon and Eratosaurus, but it is now placed in the Rhabdodontidae family and is currently the largest genus in this family. This branch of ornithopod dinosaur retained primitive features, such as more pointed teeth designed for slicing plants rather than chewing them down to pulps as seen in other Cretaceous ornithopod families. Members of the Rhabdodontidae family lived in Australia and Europe, which were isolated from other parts of the world, while the more advanced Hadrosaurus spread across the Americas and Asia. The defined features of the Muttaburrasaurus is its large, hollow nasal cavity. This may have been used to amplify calls for communication. It may have also possessed an inflatable fleshy bag that could have been used as a display feature or for intimidating predators. Pseudoceratops was first discovered in Utah in 2006 and lived during the Campanian stage of the late Cretaceous around 75 million years ago, in what is now known as the Cape Horowitz Formation. Its remains, which consist of a nearly complete skull and forelimbs, were described and named in 2013. Despite its resemblance to Triceratops, the Pseudoceratops was more closely related to Styracosaurus and Sinoceratops, and its massive, hollow nose was unseen in any other ceratopsian. Its discovery, alongside that of Sinoceratops a few years earlier, showed paleontologists that a particular branch of ceratopsian dinosaur, the Centrosaurians, had a more complicated evolutionary history than they had assumed. Rounding out the river, we'll be entering a more forest enclosure, housing the extraordinary Euoplocephalus and the opposing Olorotitan. Euoplocephalus is a genus of ankylosaurid dinosaur that originated from late Cretaceous North America. The first fossil of Euoplocephalus was discovered in Alberta in 1897. 5 years later, in 1902, it was named Sterocephalus, but that name was already been given to an insect, so it was changed in 1910. One of the best-known dinosaurs, Euoplocephalus possessed fused bone plates on its back that acted as body armor, as well as a pair of horns that protruded from the back of the neck to defend against being attacked by predators. Onto Olorotitan. This dinosaur was discovered in eastern Russia's Ural-Chukin Formation and described by Pascal Godefroot in the mid-2003. Its name means Titanic swan for its neck, which was much longer than those of other hadrosaurs. It was closely related to the more famous and well-known Lambeosaurus, as well as the Corythosaurus, Centaurosaurus, and the Hypacrosaurus. The elaborate crest of the Olorotitan has helped paleontologists in reconstructing a more accurate crest for the Centaurosaurus, which was initially believed to have a horn that resembles that of a narwhal. Olorotitan is currently the most complete Lambeosaurian hadrosaur found outside of North America, and it lived during the later stages of the Cretaceous compared to its North American relatives. In our final enclosure, we'll be heading back to the Jurassic period. On this large savanna, you'll witness the smallest, leanest, and the largest of this era of time. This is the tree lizard, known as Dryosaurus, a bipedal, herbivorous genus of ornithopod dinosaur distantly related to Iguanodon. This was one of the most common herbivores in the Morrison Formation, and as such, it is an extensively studied animal. While often thought of as a small dinosaur, the maximum size of a Dryosaurus has never been recorded, as no fully grown Dryosaurus has ever been found. The closest are near mature individuals, which measures up to 4 meters in length. Dryosaurus had a horned beak, densely packed molars, and cheek pouches to prevent the loss of food while chewing. It had long, slender, yet strong legs, and a stiffened tail, as its main defense was to run away from predators. Dryosaurus was one of the first dinosaurs to have its growth studied. Young Dryosaurus grew up quickly and could walk and run in the first few hours after hatching. They continued growing throughout their lifetime, indicating that they were warm-blooded. Next is the Kentrosaurus, a genus of stegosaurid dinosaur that originated from late Jurassic Africa. Kentrosaurus was first discovered between 1909 to 1911 by a German expedition to Tanzania, then called German East Africa. Around 70 fragmented skeletons were found together, showing these dinosaurs moved in herds. After Stegosaurus, Kentrosaurus is the second most well-known stegosaur in popular culture, and it is more closely related to the latter than to the Asian and European stegosaurs such as the Chunkingosaurus, the Centurus, and Lexivosaurus. Just make sure not to get too close to this animal, as they are the perfect reminder that just because something eats plants, it deserves respect just as much as the carnivores. The final animal on our adventure doesn't need to remind anyone to respect him. This is the dynamic Diplodocus, one of the most easily identifiable dinosaur and perhaps the longest known sauropod. Discovered in 1878, this dino's claim to fame was thanks to a mass-produced cast of an almost complete skeleton nicknamed Dippy, which was retrieved from the Morris Formation, an ecosystem which had a semi-arid environment with distinct wet and dry seasons. Diplodocus is a part of the Diplodocidae family, which also includes the equally popular Apatosaurs from the same formation in time. They both have similar peg-like teeth in an elongated head, which was used to rake leaves where they would be ground down in the stomach by gastroliths, stones that the dinosaurs swallowed. Though the Diplodocus has spikes on its back, unlike Apatosaurs, the spikes are now thought to have been scattered across its back rather than in a single iguana-like row. In the real world, Diplodocus could use its tail like a whip for defense against predators and as a counterbalance when it rears up on its hind legs when reaching high up into the treetops. As you can see, Diplodocus is a gentle, resilient, and influential addition here at Jurassic Park. And that, my friends, concludes the river adventure here on Isla Muerta. We hope you've learned something while on this scenic journey. The entertainment, however, doesn't stop here, as the gates will always remain open until you return here to Jurassic Park.
Nice to see you're back. I know you had a wonderful time on the tour here and the east side of the island. Unfortunately, that is all we have to offer on Isla Muerta. Yet another adventure is coming to a close, but you're always welcome back. Head over to the heliport where your chopper is waiting.